Hello everybody, and welcome to my April reading vlog. I decided to do a little bit of a slideshow thing related to my reading month with the Disability Readathon, and just the other books that I read, the things that I was doing, my dogs being adorable. Oh, here is the game that I made. We actually sold out my local comic book shop, which was extraordinarily exciting. And I was also reorganizing my bookshelves, so I'm going to take you along for that in just a second so that you can see all of the different things that we had going on. This is also my dog Gemma making friends with an alpaca and a little horse. Things have been a little bit more cold and rainy, even than usual here in Seattle, but the dogs and I have gotten to go out a couple of really nice days, which has been super awesome. I miss the sun. I really, really cannot wait to see it come out for real for quite some time. I also took a couple of trips to the library. This is a frog that hides in the library.
Here is the Marvel, here is the DC, and here is the Brian K. Vaughan.
So I've been trying to be better about actually writing down little notes about the books that I read, so I thought you'd like to see them because I have a shitload of reading stickers and also sloths because they're just adorable. And then I put different readathons that I was doing, like the Indigenous Readers Circle, and then you have, all of the Betty Pages, Betty's Pages stickers. Over here, and then this is the last, I had a couple extras. I think I was a little ambitious that I was going to keep reading that much. But check this out, that's really cool. And then for the next set, we have, because this is my Pride quarterly reads, I've got my rainbow reading stickers, a shitload of stickers that I've just gotten from various Pride events, and then of course the adorableness of the Steven Universe page, and then this is, just the rest of the journal. So yeah, I thought you might like to see that. This is just in my little planner journal thingy that I use, and that's it.
Hello friends, it is Sunday, April 24th. As I'm filming this, we're about 30 minutes away from doing the Disability Readathon live show, but I wanted to share with you, I'm going to intersperse, this is going to be a weird vlog to edit, but I'm going to intersperse, in addition to me talking about the books, just some of what I have been up to book-wise. I'm actually in the process of completely reorganizing all of my bookshelves. So let me show you some of that. At this point in my filming stuff, you will have already seen that there were some comics that I have been reorganizing upstairs because we now have these new built-in bookshelves that we can access. And it's been a lot of a process to try and actually figure out between my husband and myself all of the books that we have, what's going to go where. And I've realized that after it's been over 7 years now that we've been together, and we've combined books, relatively early on in that period, but we never actually combined our comic books. 7 years later, we're doing that. You guys, it's a lot. Combining your comic books with someone, I thought combining books was a big step. Turns out combining comics is just whoa, even bigger. So yeah, that's what I've got going on. I want to show you eventually when I finish up. It's kind of, relevant to this vlog because I want to show you my disability shelf. I decided that we were mostly gonna separate things out by genre, and we have upstairs too. Most of the nonfiction is currently upstairs. Some of it needs to be moved around, so I'll show you that later. But I decided that in the midst of all of that, I wanted to have a shelf down here that was my disability books, because I feel like that being a big part of my reading life and my other life outside of reading, There is no life outside of reading. Who am I kidding? Just that I would like to have a little shelf that is disability centric. So I will give you a grand tour of that at some point. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for this live show, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. So we decided that as we began reorganizing our bookshelves, we wanted some of these things like loosely categorized into genres. So we've got short story collections, fantasy, sci-fi, sci-fi, sci-fi. Can you tell I have a type? This is kind of like memoirs and essay collections, and these are essay collections that are not memoir-y. That's going upstairs on its own place. This is like general queer nonfiction. We're trying to make like a general nonfiction section in the house. And then I also have regular fiction, romance, which you can't tell, but that's actually a big stack, and my complete works of Shakespeare. So you've seen my bookshelves before in my vlogs. This is kind of what they look like right now. They're completely in flux. This top shelf up here now has all of my YA books. I don't have very many YA books anymore. I don't tend to buy them as much, so with very few exceptions, I'm not really planning on increasing the number of YA books I have anytime soon. The Funkos are probably gonna get changed around, then poetry underneath, because yeah, they're gonna get changed because poetry clearly has like these that don't fit all in one. Right here is like some childhood books, some fantasy books, RPGs, and this bottom shelf here is a bunch of like miscellaneous comics. You'll also see by now that I got a haircut for the first time in 3 years. I was really pleased with how well it turned out. My stylist did an amazing job. It's really cool to have the bouncy curls back too. Hello. It is that time of the month, the very end, that is, not that time of the month. It's the very end and time for me to actually wrap up what I read this month. Most of my reading was for the Disability Readathon. I actually wound up listening to a lot of podcasts for that in addition to the books that I read. So I'll give a quick shout out to those. The Accessible Stall, which is co-hosted by Emily Liddell and Kyle Kashtatorian. One of my favorite disability related podcasts. We actually did a readathon event with Emily for the release of her book, Demystifying Disability, and she has an entire podcast that I am massively enjoying listening to the back catalog of. The Restroom, hosted by Natasha Lippman, is another favorite. She's a disabled podcaster that does a lot of like interview talk show style things about different topics related to living with disability and chronic illness. And then the other one I've been enjoying is called Rising from the Illness, and that's hosted by someone named Kat. I don't know if there's a last name that goes with that. I know that that podcast is currently on hiatus from actively posting, but there are a lot of back episodes, and so that's what I've been making my way through. And that one is more of a casual, like chatty, hangout, community-based podcast, and it's really cute. I like it a lot. I would definitely recommend that. So let's talk a little bit about the books that I read. One of them, which I just finished actually and had to go back to the library, was not on my official TBR, but I added it because it came in at the library. And that is Smile, the Story of a Face by Sarah Ruhl. It's about the author's experience becoming a mother and being a playwright at the same time that she gave birth to her twins. She developed Bell's palsy, which is a type of facial paralysis, and so it's about her like 10-year-long journey with that and other disabilities and chronic illnesses that she finds out that she has in the interim. And I thought that was particularly interesting because a lot of the disabilities that she has are ones that I share, not the facial paralysis, but the autoimmune ones, and they run in my family, and it's kind of rare to hear people talk about those particular disabilities in a memoir. I really loved the way that it was written. You can absolutely tell that she is a very poetic literary writer. She even talks about being a poet first and then becoming a playwright, and that absolutely comes across in her writing. And this was a pretty short book too. It was about 200 pages, and I read it in a day. It was really, really good. I'm still reading Amanda Gorman's book, Call Us What We Carry, but that's a poetry collection. I'm not gonna have that finished by the end of the month because that's a poetry collection, so you don't just like sit down and read it back to back to back like you would a novel, or at least I don't, but I am really enjoying her poems. The beginning has a lot of poems about lockdown and about the pandemic, and I think that it deals with that in a very thoughtful way. There's been a lot of like lockdown poetry that have gotten published in the last year or so. I'm not a huge fan of all of it. I mean, that's just down to personal taste. Some of it is just like, no, I can't really be reading this right now. But I am enjoying her poetry. It's really cool to just hear somebody write with a voice that you can tell she's a spoken word poet. You can tell that these poems are meant to be heard and read out loud. So super loving that. Let's go into the other books that I read for the Disability Readathon. I wrapped up a couple of them at the end of last month's vlog because I read them early. But as far as the ones from my actual TBR, I finished the Fate Accessibility Toolkit, which is edited by Elsa Hunison. You've heard me talk about her a lot on this channel before. And this is a tabletop RPG related book, quite small actually, that is about how to portray and roleplay disabled characters in tabletop RPGs, how to make your table more welcoming and inclusive and accessible for people who are disabled. And one of the things that I really loved about this book that I think it did well was actually introducing mechanics of disability and assistive technology and other just aspects of living a disabled life into the system in a way that wasn't ableist. A lot of times there are disability mechanics in tabletop games that are things like insanity, and like you get a certain number of insanity points and suddenly you like develop, I don't know, agoraphobia or like tics and twitching and stuff. Or you can, take disabilities during your character creation in order to get more points. So like the disability is literally a handicap. It's literally something that you can voluntarily choose to hinder and hold you back so you get special powers. And that's just really not how it works in real life. So the way that they adapted this for Fate was that in the game Fate, everyone is assumed to be like really good and really skilled at what they do. And Elsa talks about how she thought that made this the perfect place to start introducing disability mechanics. It's got a wide variety of authors who have different disabilities. Obviously, not every single disability under the sun is included, but it's certainly a very good starting point. And absolutely the best, disability and tabletop related book I've ever seen out there. So that was excellent. I also finished Golem Girl, a memoir by Reba Lehrer. This book is a chonker, and I loved it. This was one of the best books that I have read this year, if not ever. This is a memoir of the author's experiences as an artist, as a Jewish kid growing up with spina bifida in the 1960s when, kids that had spina bifida were frequently either institutionalized or did not survive infancy and childhood because of complications to do with their disability. She talked about going to a school that had all disabled students as a young kid, and then what it was like transitioning to a mainstream high school and then her university/art school. This book is also interspersed throughout with her artwork. She's a portrait artist, and she does lots of work in acrylics and watercolor, I believe. I learned a lot about the actual design and aesthetics that go into portraiture in this, as well as her projects making lots of portraits of disabled people who are traditionally looked at in artwork as something of a novelty or a freak show or an anomaly, instead of having the same level of subjectivity and pride and joy and attention to detail that everybody else gets in their portraits. And so this was a really good book. This is also a queer book. The author talks a lot about queerness and gender and lots of other things that just really spoke to me. And the other thing I really appreciated about this is she writes a lot about what it is like to age with a disability that frequently means that the state of your body is constantly changing. And as somebody with a disability that does, fluctuate on the daily sometimes, that was really good to read. That wasn't something that I had encountered a whole lot in this type of literature. So I adored this. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And that's it for my Disability Readathon TBR wrap-up. I did read a couple other books that were not disability related this month. I actually read book 1 of The Sandman, the Neil Gaiman comic. I don't really have too much to say about this, except that I did not like it. I know that that's kind of sacrilegious to say, but I am not, I'm having some coffee, I am not the hugest fan of Neil Gaiman's writing to begin with. I find it very unfocused, and I think that he has a lot of good sort of macro level ideas, and I don't really like how he executes those ideas. I don't think plotting is really his strong suit. He's a very good like thematic writer, but the plotting is not his strong suit, and that really showed in this. You know, the book 1 of The Sandman that I read was, I think, those preludes and nocturnes, and then the Dollhouse arc, and then a bunch of other little like individual short shot comics. The short shots were great because he could just explore this interesting concept, like what if somebody lived forever and constantly met, you know, dream every 100 years, and they sort of traveled through history together as an immortal mortal and a being that has just always existed as long as humanity has existed. So that brought up some fun philosophical questions, but the story for the other two was just, I mean, not even the artwork, which I did enjoy, could save Neil Gaiman from himself. So I don't know if I'm going to continue with that series. I know, sacrilegious, but whatever. I can't make myself like something I didn't like. And then I finished actually all of the books, the final 2 books actually, that my in-laws gave me for my birthday. Well, they gave me a gift card. I bought the books. So one of those was The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. This was another little kind of short and sweet, cute book. It's about a boy whose grandfather dies, and he inherits the bookstore that his grandfather used to run, and then one day a talking cat appears from behind the stacks and is like, I need your help, we need to travel into this portal that was actually in the back of the bookstore the entire time and save these books. So it's a little bit about, you know, this young boy kind of finding himself, going on adventures, kind of having to come out of his shy and retiring shell. I thought that this book was just okay. It wasn't really my favorite. I found a lot of the like moralizing in it to be pretty heavy-handed, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I think what saved it in my eyes is that it was actually pretty earnest in its statements. It didn't feel super corny, it just felt like a lot. But you know, the book was short enough. It was kind of, I guess, expected in a story about, you know, a teenager for whom everything is like big choices and big identity questions and everything is a matter of life or death. So I think it fit for the character, it just wasn't my favorite. And then actually last night I finished The Donut Trap by Julie Tew. This is a really cute romance about these 2 Asian American kids falling in love. Her family runs a donut shop. His mom is a professor. They meet, and then they meet again, and they start falling for each other. And you know, this was just really sweet. I think this is a good romance if you like Fade to Black, or if you like books that are a lot coming of age sprinkled with a little dash of romance. I was kind of surprised that there wasn't as much of a romance in it, I think, as I thought. But I still really enjoyed reading it. It was fun, it was cute, and I'm definitely going to pass that along in my recommendations. I already did to my book club. We have a Facebook group where we just like geek out about the romance books that we like. So I think that's going to do it for this month in terms of what I've read. I've been slowly making my way through a bunch of your videos of Disability Readathon vlogs and TBRs, and Annalisa, if you are watching this and you've made it all the way to the end, I am gonna do your autistic booktuber tag. I just need to like get my shit together in order to do that. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching this vlog. Please let me know down below what you've been reading, what you've been up to. If you just want to let me know that you were there but not leave a comment, you can just leave a smiley or heart, or I don't know, just like whatever your favorite little emoji is. Personally, I'm a purple heart person myself. I love the purple heart emoji. Yeah, that's all I've got. I guess I should end this now before I start rambling. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this. Take it easy, my friends, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.